to make sure that it starts. To make sure that it starts. Oh, and it's there. Oh, this is weird. So I'm on a phone. I have a fucking belt wrapped around my neck. Don't worry, it can't strangle me. But it's got a phone holder on it. And we're going to use this as a way to look down as I wang jangle some food together. And it will not be wobbling this much as I have it strapped to me. Wow, this is a little weird, I'll be honest with you. I've never live streamed anything from my phone. But yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're live streaming from my phone. So today we are making what? My sound alert browser is offline? Yeah, all my browser sources are offline. I don't have my usual setup. But we're making some Korean beef bowls! I should leave the camera somewhere while I go and get the beef, because I forgot to pull it out. Here, please enjoy this view of my cat eating a bag in the meantime. Ugh. No, so yeah, we are going to cook some stuff. I don't want to do it right away though, I want some people to show up, because I did tell some people that this was happening, and I want to give them a chance to arrive prior. Where can I put this phone? Should I do the what's his name? Josh something from YouTube and put you in a cupboard? This is temporary, don't worry. Ah, there we go. Is that working? It is. Cool. I'm the next, what the hell is his name? Weissman? Josh Weissman? Is that a guy? Is that a cooking guy? Yeah, we'll just copy him. We'll shut you in. We'll be like... You know the thing that I love about beef bowls is that they take only 15 minutes to make. It's really goofy. But yeah. We'll wait for some people to show up. This is so scuffed. I don't know if you can see. I have a damn dish rack here that my laptop is on and my stream monitor stuff is on it. I'm wearing a belt around my neck so I can hold my phone. But yeah, I'm hungry, so this is gonna be fun. I don't know if there's any people that cook in the chat, but yeah. If you don't cook yet, you're gonna want to after this. At least I hope so. Also, I can't tell if you can tell. I got the elevator music rocking in the speaker in my kitchen. Everything we know and love about the Teeter streams is here, except for, you know, sound alerts and follow alerts and me looking at the camera when I read chat and stuff. Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, let's see if anyone's here. Get this thing on my face. Who's around? My cats are making a ton of noise. IRL is a tag? Oh, that's cute. That's really cute. Oh, I gotta post on Twitter. I forgot to post my Twitter notification that I'm going live. What should we say? I'll just say what my title is. What was this? Oh. Okay, new tweet. Cause I know how to do that from my phone. Cooking stream. Korean beef bowl madness starting right now. Wow. And I'm gonna type my Twitch link by hand. That's okay, because I know how to spell my own name. I think. Tweet! Alright. Cool. So yeah, this is basically it. The laser's gonna be a little better when I take you out of the cupboard. But until then, it's gonna look a little dark. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so we're gonna be making a dish today, just Korean beef. It's like a sweet, salty beef over rice. That's supposed to only take 15 minutes to make, like I joked about a minute ago. Depending on like your luck cooking rice and stuff, it might take a little bit longer than that, but it's still pretty quick either way. Requires a pound of beef, for me, I'm only gonna make a 1 cup of rice into 2. Quarter cup of brown sugar, quarter cup of soy sauce, some spices like crushed red pepper and stuff on it. I use a dash of chili pepper oil to give a little bit of a kick to it. And then, yeah, that's it. You boil some rice, you toss the beef over it. It's fantastic. So we'll get going with that in a minute. I don't know if anyone's showing up just yet, unfortunately. Been saying 4 o'clock for some amount of time now, but that's okay. Poison Apple a Day is streaming. That's exciting. Where did we come from? Forget who I was lurking on. Oh, Chris Hardwick, of course. Not that Chris Hardwick. Alright, well, I honestly might just get started. Just because I am starving and these burners and stuff are heating my house up right away. So, hello to anyone who may be here already. Twitch is telling me no one's here yet, and that's fine. I get it. But, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Whoop. Nice quick turnaround. And I'll get you clipped right in. Cool. So now you are in Skyrim view, right? You get to see me running to all the things. Okay. So, the very first thing I like to do for this dish is start the rice. Because of all things, rice takes kind of a long time to boil. So, the way that it works for long grain white rice, you usually measure out or eyeball 1 amount of rice and then put in twice as much water. So for me, I'm only doing 1 cup, 2 cups of water. I've already gotten a pot. I tried to heat it up a little bit already so we wouldn't have to wait all year for this to boil. So on the back burner there, I've got my pot of water. We're just going to crank this to high heat. Once that gets boiling, you toss your rice in. You can wash your rice if you want. Something to do with removing starch or whatever. I personally don't have a preference. So I just tend to leave it as it came out of the package. And yeah, boil it for 15 minutes at high heat. You wait for it to simmer, and then you cover it and let it steam itself. So we'll be doing that. But first we gotta boil. The next thing we gotta do is mix our sauce for the beef, which I have all the ingredients for right here. As I said earlier, it is a quarter cup of brown sugar for 1 pound of beef. Right into my mixing bin here. Soy sauce, you do an even amount, so whatever amount of sugar you put in soy sauce. If you want it a little sweeter, you can put a little bit more sugar or a little less soy sauce. If you want a little saltier, do the opposite. A little more soy sauce or a little less brown sugar. But for today, we're just going to do even amounts, just because that's usually how I do it. This is my Dollar Tree soy sauce. They seem to change their brand like every couple months. There we go. This will go right in. I apologize if my movements are a little weird. I'm not really used to reaching around a phone dangling from my neck. That's okay. We'll make do. Rinse that out, let it dry. Okay, so even amounts of brown sugar and soy sauce away. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, which I think is actually kind of heavy. Your whole dish will kind of taste like sesame seed oil. So I usually just kind of eyeball like a couple drizzles into it. I don't know. Depends on how particular you are in liking sesame oil. I don't really like that much. So we're just going to eyeball a little bit like that. Recipe calls for a bit of ginger. I only use the pre-ground stuff that I get in my local grocery store. Just wang this right in to our heart's content. Doesn't come out of here very well because of the little holes. Whoops, I already got some on me. That's okay. Washed my hands before we started stream, so I don't mind getting them all over my own food. So ginger goes in, crushed red pepper goes in for a little bit of spice. Unfortunately, it's not enough spice for my personal liking. So even though you can toss in a whole bunch, I like to also add chili paste. Now this chili paste has been in my cupboard for a little while, so it is not the reddest chili paste you'll ever see, but that's okay. I'm the only one who uses it in my house. My wife doesn't really like hot food. So we're just going to toss a nice glob of it right off of my, tasting fork. And that is the entire sauce. We'll whip that together and we'll get the beef in it in just a minute. I'm actually going to give my fork a rinse as well, because I'll be using that again in a little bit. Okay. So our rice water is boiling. This is a really awkward way to show the camera. But yep, the water for the rice is boiling already. So the rice goes straight in. And now that the water is boiling, we're going to want to cut it down to a simmer, which for me is usually around 2 or 3 on my stove. Now at this point, this is where you can season the rice. So for me, the only seasonings I use are a little bit of salt and pepper and a sweetener. In my case, it is a 5-spice seasoning. Now I do have a salt derivative, this Goya adobo with pepper. It kind of adds a salty with slight black pepper flavor to it. So I usually just use this. I'm only making 2 cups of rice, so don't want to go too heavy with it, or else your rice will be very, very salty tasting. But just a little coating of that. And of course, a 5-spice seasoning. This contains cinnamon and anise and nutmeg and ginger and something else. Cloves, I think. All your favorite baking ingredients. Now, I go pretty heavy with this just because I want the flavor to come through on the rice. This is not part of the recipe. They usually just say, serve it over white rice. But I like to add a little bit of a sweet flair to it, just to give it some identity. Now, I do need that little fork I had again, so I can stir this up and get the rice to be a little bit coated. This water is freshly boiled, so it is steaming and still kind of hot. And yeah, you don't want to wang jangle a fork right into your pan like that, but I tried to kind of hover to it so it doesn't damage it. Alright, so now this is boiling. You want to cover it up now that everything's seasoned and the rice is in there, and get it back on the burner so that it simmers. You want to leave this to simmer from anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. I usually just go for 15, shut the heat off and let it steam. But whatever your preference is, I guess, if you like your rice a little bit more done. But we're just going to toss on a timer for 5 minutes. And hopefully by the time we do all the other crap, that'll be good to go. Okay, so the rice is on. That's basically going to cook itself. The only thing you got to do when the timer shuts off is turn off the burner and leave it sit there until you're ready to serve it. Pretty much. Give it a quick fluff with your fork when it's all set and done, and you're good to go. I did preheat my cast iron, and also the last time I used it, I didn't re-season it, so you may see that it's not properly seasoned, but that's okay. We're cooking a fatty beef, so it should help recoat it again. So I did preheat it for about 10-15 minutes a little while ago. It does retain heat very well, so it's still pretty hot. We're just going to put the heat back on 3, which is where I personally like to cook it for a medium using cast iron. And while this is warming back up, we're just going to want to toss a little bit of canola or vegetable oil in it. This is canola oil for me. It's going to be just enough to sear the beef, so I usually just do a little zigzag like this. It's going to cook some garlic and sear the beef. Now on the topic of garlic comes my favorite cooking task of all time, which is crushing and mincing garlic cloves. I am going to remove my wedding ring for this because it does get a little bit gross. But if you have never crushed and peeled garlic, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. It is a ton of fun, and like I said, it is my favorite cooking thing to do. My camera doesn't look perfectly on this, so I apologize if it's not dead center. But you can see it enough, so we'll just run with it. So I have a pretty decent knife here. This is just a paring knife, but you can use any old knife. I tend to use this run-of-the-mill Copper Chef knife. But because of the holes in here, the little garlic bits tend to get caught in there, and it's kind of a bitch to clean. So today I'm just electing to use this, just for the sake of simplicity. So, first thing you want to do is smash the clove of garlic, just like this. And for each one that you smash, the skin on it will just kind of fall right off. You can actually see it kind of unwrapping there. Just like that. And then you just take the fleshy innards of the garlic out, and the little skin you toss away. We're going to do this for each of our garlic cloves. This one's got a little bit hanging on for dear life. A little bit's not so bad. So this is going to be refuse over here. We're just going to take each of the pieces of garlic out of their skin. It does make a little bit of a blowy, floofy mess as well. So try your best not to get it everywhere. But boom, 3 cloves of garlic. Now each garlic, when they're on the head, I guess, or the clove, is connected at the bottom by this little like rind, and that's no bueno. So for each one of these, we're just going to want to chop that off before we go ahead and mince them. I'm actually nervous. My hand is like shaking. I don't know why I'm nervous of this. I stream all the time. This is no different. This is just me making food for myself and not playing a video game. Plus, no one's here, so I don't know what I'm freaking out about. I think I just feel stupid that I have a phone dangling from my neck, honestly. But yeah, so, garlic, cloves. To mince them, you just cut them really tiny. There is a tactic that people use. I do not have one. I usually just slice it real thin, like so. And I get careful as I get close to my finger. And then I just go back and forth through my little pile of sliced garlic and cut them real tiny like. Okay, so really what you're after is just little nubs of garlic. So I'm just going to go back and forth like this. Knives like this are slightly curved, so you're able to rock them back and forth without ever actually picking up the knife. I like to anchor down the front this way and cut it sideways, but a lot of times you just do it straight on that way. And you just go over and over your cloves until they're nice and tiny. Breaking them into a little pile and going over them again. And I just do this over and over until it's properly minced and that the pieces are relatively even in size. Again, there is a proper technique to this. I do not know what that technique is, unfortunately. I usually just kind of randomly hack at it until I don't have any strikingly large bits of garlic. Now you're going to have to clean off our knife a little bit in just a second here, and I'll show you how to do that safely. So whenever you got stuff kind of stuck on your knife, you can't just push your finger because it is curved into your knife and just wipe it. You will not stab yourself unless your finger is like hanging off the very edge of the knife. So just do that on both sides. If you have freshly washed hands, this isn't that gross. And yeah, you just keep at it. Now, if I did follow whatever the proper technique is for this, it probably would have been done already. But as we saw as I wiped my knife, there's still a ton of kind of heavy globs of garlic in the mix here. So we're just going to try and make it a little bit more of a mince. I think we're about there. If there's an errant piece or two that's a little bit bigger, I won't lose any sleep over it. Clean our knife again, wiping with our finger. Again, the front of my finger doesn't come anywhere near the blade, but it does hover over and grab all the little bits of garlic. And there we are. We have a little pile of minced garlic and a little pile of garlic refuse. So I'm just going to toss the refuse into my sink for now because I don't want to walk all around my kitchen with this camera bobbing all over. I'll throw that out after. But the garlic is going to go into our hot oil pan. Now I am going to move the oil around a little bit so that it coats the pan a little bit more fully. Now, canola oil has a kind of high smoke point compared to something like olive oil, so I wouldn't expect to see this completely sizzling right away once it's hot. You can tell that oil is hot if it starts to shimmer and kind of spread out really easy. The fact that this isn't like running across the pan super duper fast tells me that it's not completely super hot yet, but that's okay. In the interest of time and getting some food in me, I'm just going to toss our garlic in right away. Now, aromatics like garlic and onions, they tend to cook pretty quickly, especially if you mince them like this. Ginger as well. So, usually I just like to wang jangle it in, or toss it in, wang jangle it around with the spatula, and make sure that it's just kind of browning. And once you start to smell it, which is why it's called an aromatic, you'll know that it's already kind of primed and cooked properly. So there we are. I'm just going to toss my cutting board over there. We'll clean it later. And yeah, so garlic is in. You just want your garlic to get nice and stanky, nice and aromatic. Doesn't take too long, somewhere between, I don't know, 20 and 30 seconds. You see that it's already turning like a tannish color, which is exactly what we're after for that flavor. And then the very next step is to just toss our beef in with it. There's no other seasoning listed in this recipe for it, and I don't really think you need it. if you really want to, I suppose you could put a dash of salt in it, because salt really doesn't just make things salty, but it brings out kind of their inner flavor. So if you wanted it to be a little bit more punchy or, you know, tasting like beef, you could salt your beef once you put it in the pan. But for me, I'm just going to put the beef in with the garlic. Garlic's already brown and nice and, well, nice. So, got my beef here. I use 90 lean ground beef. Put it into 1 pound segments and freeze it. Put it in the fridge overnight to thaw. But because it's 90 lean, I don't actually bother with straining it as it cooks, because really there isn't that much fat content in there to worry about. I'm actually going to back up while this sizzles just because it's kind of loud. But you put the whole pound of beef in there, and I will chop that up in just a second with my spatula. Give my hand a quick rinse here. Right. And with the trusty spatula we were just using, I'm just going to stab this guy into bits. Now we are going to have to wait for all of this beef to brown before we move on, but the only other step that we have to do is put the sauce we already made in the previous step, along with the rice, in here. I will give it a quick whisk to mix everything before we put it in, but yeah, it's going to be done really quick. Then you let it simmer in that sauce for a while, probably as long as it'll take for the rice to cook and steam. And then you just top it with some scallions. And I'll talk about scallions in a little bit, or green onions rather, in a little bit. So here we are. We got little nice bits of beef. And you can continue chopping as you stir it around. But obviously as I was making that first layer of stuff, parts of it were browning. So I do want to stir it and get kind of a more even cook all over the place. Sorry, I'm looking over at my stream manager just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Doesn't look like anyone's joined us yet. At least not in the chat. So that's okay. Glad I'm not ignoring anybody while I ramble on about all the steps to browning ground beef. So you can even see, like I said, this is 90 lean. So as this is cooking, I mean, it's still got about halfway to go. But there really isn't that much fat in the bottom here. Can't really see it pulling up or anything. There's just little bits of it present. So yeah, for me personally, I don't strain 90 lean ground chuck. I just let it soak in all that fatty goodness, and I clog my arteries with it, I guess. Sorry if this isn't staying center. I keep looking at the preview and it looks kind of off center. And this will actually work wonders for the seasoning underneath if I leave that fat in here and just kind of wipe it out when we're done. Usually I do clean out the fat or whatever from beef, and I'll just put another bit of canola oil on here, heat it up and spread it around, and usually it will kind of cast on to the pan. So I'll admit this is probably the most boring part of the recipe. I guess while we wait for this to just finish up, as it's kind of getting there, still little pink spots throughout, but we're almost all the way cooked through. I'm going to go grab my green onions. Now, you got two different approaches to green onions, or three I guess. You go to the store and you can buy stalks of them, and they're pretty cheap and get like, I don't know, 2 or 3 bundles of them for like 89 cents. It'll last you, I don't know, a month. But you can actually take those same stalks, and if you can see in my window here, you can put them in a little dish of water, and they'll continue to grow. So I usually just chop the tops off, let them keep growing, and save the tops in a water bottle I have in my freezer. I'm actually going to go get some from the water bottle today, because these are getting kind of thin and wispy. I think that I should have moved these to soil by now. The roots are insane. They're crazy long. But these guys are kind of far gone, I think. So I will use this up eventually. I'll just chop all these down fresh for other dishes. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to get new plants and start over. Because those are nice and thin. But if I grab the water bottle I was talking about, we'll see that individual chunks of them are supposed to be a lot bigger. So, yeah, I'm going to need a new plant. But these are usually just a garnish. You can put them in the dish to get some more oniony flavor into your dish. And because of the fact that these are frozen, I am going to do that, just so they have some time to thaw. But the cool thing about putting them in a water bottle like this, there's two. You can feed the stalks into the bottle and just have a pair of scissors here and just chop it up as you go, so the little bits fall in as you push the stalk in and chop it. And secondly, it becomes like a little spring onion shaker. So, kind of like people grating cheese at Olive Garden or whatever. It's like, tell me when. And you just shake green onion into your dish. Now, I usually don't use this much, but I usually cook this for me and my wife. She is not here tonight. She's out on a little business venture. So, instead, I'm going to just over-onion it for myself, and we're going to enjoy a nice oniony, sweet dish. Toss this back in the fridge, or freezer rather. And yeah, we're just having an infinite stock of green onions between growing them, freezing them, and using them when you need them. Gonna give our sauce a quick whisk. You want to make sure that that brown sugar dissolves or mixes with everything before you pour it, because otherwise you're gonna get just a big old glob of it at the bottom of your mixer there, and you can actually see it right there on the bottom. I like to mix everything in this measuring cup, I think that's what it's called, because it's just so easy to measure all your different amounts that you need. Rice is done. Shut the timer off, and we'll shut the heat off. Oops, that's not the heat off. There we go. Shut the heat off and let it steam. I'm actually going to take it completely off of the heat. Just toss it right in the middle here. And yeah, so that rice was boiling in there as it was simmering, so there's still some steam trapped in there. You can see the rice is actually mostly cooked. Still see a fair bit of water in there. It might need a little bit more time on the burner, actually. We'll just put it on the residually warm burner, and the rest of that water should steam out of there into the rice and puff it up and make it nice and fluffy. Rice really isn't that hard to make. I know a lot of people say that you should get a rice maker because it's a set and forget kind of thing. It doesn't take a lot of work or whatever, but I don't know. I've always had pretty decent luck just doing it on the stovetop, so I like to do that. Probably put my foot in my mouth, though, if I ever try one, because I'll know that it's much better. So, now that the meat is cooking and we have our sauce mixed, we're just going to dump it right on in here. And your coverage here does not matter in the slightest, because of the fact that you're going to mix it all up in a minute. Yes, I know I cooked raw beef with this spatula, but we're not using this anymore, so use it to scrape that out. This goes in the sink with the whisk and all my refuse. And this is it. We just mix this on up. It's a little bit watery, so as you mix it, you'll see some steam coming off, but you'll see the beef get gradually darker as the sauce we made makes its way into the beef. Now, I think most of the time when you make this, you don't have any water left in your pan. It all gets soaked up one way or another by the beef or evaporated. But if there is a little bit in there, it's not bad. You know, works kind of like a sauce or whatever. And you can use it to coat your rice, actually. So, you scoop this out with a spatula that doesn't have holes in it, or a spoon even. You can get some of that nice goodness in there and get that on your rice. So yeah, we're just going to sit here, let this soak up as well. Guess I'll turn my heat up on both things a little bit. The rice is taking a sweet old time, I think. But that's okay. Like I said, you could have boiled the water for longer than 15 minutes. I tend to just hit 15, and then by the time I run around here and do everything, and this continues to steam, I usually get perfect rice just from how long it takes me to figure all my other shit out. Yeah, this actually looks about done already. Still leave it on here, like I said. You'll continue to cook the beef and let it soak in. But this is basically it. And it wasn't all that hard, was it? Just mix up a sauce using 5 or 6 ingredients. Should only be 4, actually. 5 including the brown sugar I don't have pulled out. But that's that. You just mix the sauce, toss it in, mix some rice. I like to season my rice, as we know. And that's that. You toss this on top of that in a bowl, and you eat your heart out. We'll hang out for just a few more minutes, just so I can show you the finished product once we get it in a bowl. Should probably procure a bowl. So I suppose I'll do that while this is all cooking. Set that like that. I like a nice wide bowl for this. You can get a deep bowl if you prefer more rice, but the wide bowl lets you get more kind of like area of rice to get little bites from, so I prefer it that way. Rice is recovering a little bit. I don't know if you can see into there. I'll bring it up here. Once you get kind of like a rice cake, when you wiggle it around, you don't see the rice moving around so much. They usually suggest that there isn't a lot of extra fluid in there, or extra water in there. Moisture, that's the word. Clogging up your rice. So, you can take this off and stir it if you think it's done. I am just going to let this sit for the duration while this continues to boil off a little bit more. But honestly, if you're just making this and you want to eat it right away, this is an absolutely fine place to stop. Go ahead and shut the heat off here. It'll continue to cook and boil some of the extra moisture off. Go ahead and serve your rice and wrap it right on up. I like this to be a little bit more incorporated and darker, so I'm going to let this simmer a little bit more. But yeah, just for the sake of getting a plate done and getting you guys on your merry way, I will put one together right now. So first we want to stir up the rice. Like I said, I'm going to get my handy dandy tasting and do everything fork. It's got a little Peter Rabbit on it, isn't that so cute? But yeah, we're going to use this to stir the rice. Now be careful here because it is steamy. Whoa, look at that! If you can see it, all the steam. Yeah, but that is mostly or entirely gone into your rice. And as you stir it, you'll see there's still a ton of moisture in here, but that's just the residual stuff that's steaming off the rice. The rice itself is cooked all the way through. Nice and brilliant. Sound like Gordon Ramsay saying things like brilliant. But yeah, so you just stir this on up, get the seasonings in there nice and incorporated. I got a nice batch of 5 spice on the side there. Nice brown tint to my sweet, sweet rice. Steam will keep coming off, that's fine. Piping hot rice. Can't say no to that. And I will just dish out a little bit for myself. You want a GoPro? No, sir. This is just my cell phone, actually, dangling from a belt apparatus I have around my neck. We're just about done here, my friend. Serving the goodness now. And of course I slung some on my counter. Why wouldn't I? So rice in the bowl. I like a ton of rice. I also like to kind of make a bowl of rice out of it. So I just scrape it up the sides of my bowl, just like so. And that way, when you put the beef in there, you can just take bites of rice from all around the bowl and munch on them. So there we go. Tasting fork away. Making you hungry. Yeah, making me hungry too. And here is our simmered beef. Like I said about the extra moisture, you can leave that in there, that's fine. I like to cook it off a little bit more, but now we got the beef back on, I think it's mostly gone anyway. So then you just take a nice heap and scoop of this right in. And I like a ton of food. So there we go. Got yourself a nice Korean beef bowl. And all it took was about, I don't know, 20 minutes. How long is this stream? 35? Yeah. Waiting for people to show up for a minute there, but that's okay. And that is that. You can just leave this on the heat if you want it to keep cooking. I did just shut the heat off. And I also actually like to put the lid back on my rice, just to make sure that any more steam coming out of there stays in our rice. Okay, unclipping and showing you my panting, tired, cooking face. So yeah, that's a dish. That's how you cook food. If you're not one to cook food, why not? It's a lot of fun, and it's easy. Look at this beautiful dish you can make. I guess it's not terribly visually appealing, but it is delicious, I promise you that. And like I said, it only took, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. As long as you got the meat defrosted and everything, and you remember to put the rice on first. Can't say I've forgotten to do that. Definitely haven't forgotten to make the rice first, you know, because it always takes like 25 minutes to make. But yeah, not the belt. Yeah, see? This is a, actually it's kind of a cool belt. It's got a beer opener on it. Call a paramedic. Just kidding. But the belt, this is a Suicide Squad belt. I've not seen the film, but the inside of it is a bottle opener. Isn't that crafty? Whoops. Isn't that crafty? Wow. Not like this. Anything like this. Yeah. I guess I'm not clipping this myself anymore, so I can take it off. All in all, it actually wasn't that bad to wear a belt around my neck like this. I know it looks a little kinky or whatever, but it was functional, so I don't know. I hope that's not TOS, and I'm also sorry I'm like waving my phone all over. I clearly don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I know how to cook, I don't know how to vlog. But yeah, I don't know if you saw all that, but easy peasy. If you want a video recipe, just watch the VOD, I guess, download it or something. Use your favorite pirating software to keep it forever. I don't care. But yeah, food is done. Now I gotta put all this ingredients and cooking refuse away. Don't look at that. They don't show you that on real cooking channels. But yeah, I'm all set. So my dinner's ready. I'm gonna run and eat dinner, and then because I don't have a life, probably stream something again later. I had Knockout City on the brain. I don't know if that'll actually pan out, but it may. Who knows? I'm gonna grub on. I thank anyone who tuned in to my weird cooking stream. I've always wanted to do this, and I've had a lot of friends tell me that I should because I cook so much and talk about it. So yeah, if you came along for the ride, I appreciate ya. And if you're around later and want to hang out, feel free to come right back to this channel where I seem to always be live for some reason. Yeah, thank you all so much again. And if I can figure out how to shut this off from my phone. Oh no, we got a raid. That's right. Hold on. Can I prep a raid? Hold on. We gotta figure this out. There's only 2 of you, right? So, whatever. Hang tight. We'll find someone cool to hang out with. Has anyone got suggested someone? I am Mars is still on, but I just raided him. Dead by Daylight. Warzone. I don't have too many people on, turns out. Maybe I won't throw a raid. Awful. Raid who? Chai Theo? I can do that. I've not heard of them, but I'll gladly bring my viewers over to Chai Theo. What are they up to right now? The Last of Us Part 2! Nice! Okay, yeah, let's do that. Sorry it's only 2 people to his existing 15. His or her. But yeah, thank you for joining. Hope the food looked okay. Hope I didn't gross anyone out with my practices and my kinky belt apparatus. But yeah, we had a lot of fun here today. Starting the raid on here, and hopefully I can end stream from here or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you maybe in a few hours. Who knows? Bye-bye! One last food shot before we go. Alright. Peace out, everybody. Thank you.